Welcome to Sports Stuff 365. I'm George and
I'm Travis. And we'll just transition right in. This is our second show coming off of our inaugural show, which was our NFL season preview. We are transitioning our format, so our next show will be Tuesday. You can look for it then. But let's just transition right into our big three topics since our last show on Monday. What's been making the headlines since then?
Yeah, our first one's going to be about Ron Washington.
Yes, the manager of the Texas Rangers resigned yesterday. Has been replaced for the rest of the season by interim manager, bench coach Tim Bogar. And obviously we know about his reported cocaine use in the last few years, but they say this is not a drug-related deal. It is for other personal matters. So where does this leave Texas? I mean, he's taken them to 2 American League pennants in the last 5 years, some odd. Where does this send the Rangers now?
Well, I think that the Rangers' problems are much deeper than just managerial problems. Right now, they have actually a very good coach in Tim Bogar. I know that the Astros were interested in talking to him about being their manager. So I don't really see a big drop-off in talent or skill at manager problems. You know, last season, Nolan Ryan parted ways with them. And it was because of internal issues that they had. The internal issues are not going to go away. They've gone from the best team in the American League to the worst team. They might have the number 1 pick this year.
Well, they're the first team mathematically eliminated from playoff contention yesterday. This really, we'll see, though. Ron Washington was a player's coach. He's one of the best players' coaches in Major League Baseball. He's had that reputation since being in Oakland as a third base coach. And so we'll see how that transitions. We don't know exactly what Tim Bogar's style is because this is his first real managerial gig. He's very highly regarded, used to be in the Red Sox organization, was a very nice player as well. But yeah, the Rangers front office seems to have a lot of problems, a disconnect from manager and on-the-field personnel to general manager John Daniels, and also from which is recently departed Nolan Ryan now with the Astros, because there obviously was a disconnect between the rest of the Rangers front office and Nolan. So obviously there's some problems up there in the Rangers press box.
But I have to give Ron Washington some credit because he saw that there was an issue. He did something about it. So I hope he gets whatever problem it is straightened out, and he goes on and has a wonderful life.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to see someone taking care of whatever problems they may have and not worrying about other stuff, because it's most important to get your problems dealt with, because this is just a game, really. It's just a game.
Baseball, just a game, and your family's your family.
And now transitioning from a sad baseball story to a joyful baseball story for some. Clayton Kershaw has been absolutely ridiculous this season. I mean, he's going to win the National League Cy Young. He's the best pitcher in baseball. He's the most dominant. This is the most dominant pitching stretch we've ever seen since Pedro in the early 2000s in Boston. But now the talk has come up about Clayton Kershaw winning the National League MVP. Remember, a few years ago, Justin Verlander won the American League MVP with the Tigers when he went 24-5 and was ridiculous. And obviously Kershaw's been just as good or better this year. But the topic is, does a pitcher deserve an MVP over a regular position player because they only play 30 games a year?
Look, the way I see it is he's going to win the Cy Young Award if he continues.
Oh, yes.
And he's a very good pitcher. But he doesn't go out there every night and bust his buns, run into walls, slide into bases, go into butt slides like Jonathan Villar of the Astros. He doesn't get those things on an everyday basis. He doesn't go home sweating and tired and having to deal with losses or wins. Every night. He just goes in every 4th or 5th day, does his thing, and leaves.
I tend to agree with you on this. Pitchers really, for the most part, do not deserve MVPs because the best pitchers in the game win 20 games. And they didn't technically win it. I mean, if a pitcher gets a technical win in a 5-4 game, he didn't score 5 runs, he doesn't get the win. Players at bat win games. Position players win games. Let me tell you, if you are, for instance, the Pittsburgh Pirates, Which one, if you had to choose, which one is more valuable to your team? Which one is going to win more games for you? Andrew McCutchen or Garrett Cole, who's their best starter, who's been, so important to them. But which one is more important? Of course it's position player. They play 5 times more games than any pitcher can. There's only been one pitcher to ever throw more than 100 games in a season, and he was a relief pitcher. Not even, starters don't start 50, 60 games. So no matter what a pitcher does in his 30 games, I don't care if it's amazing, he is not physically producing 100 to 120 runs a season for his team, because he's certainly not preventing 100 runs.
Well, who was it that won the MVP? Triple Crown?
Oh, Miguel Cabrera last year in Detroit.
Cabrera won a Triple Crown last year.
And rightly deserved the MVP.
That's
and
right.
was awarded it.
He goes home, he hit 330, he hit a lot around that. He hit a lot of home runs, got a lot of runs in. He deserved it. He did it on a nightly or daily basis.
Yes.
And he worried about getting that guy from second to home every day. He didn't go in there and pitch 6 innings and have a good deal, throw his 108 pitches and leave. No.
Yes.
He didn't have a cutoff.
No.
His cutoff was getting the guy in.
Yeah. Pitchers just don't deserve MVPs. They don't play the same volume of games.
That's exactly right.
And obviously pitching does win championships. Pitching is extremely important, but you will lose 1-0 if you don't score runs. It's just that simple. You have to score runs to win.
Clayton Kershaw. He's going to win the
He's going to win the National League Cy Young. MVP is ridiculous.
He deserves it.
They should make it a rule to where in order to qualify for, it's like for the batting title, you have to have at least on average, I think it's 3.1 plate appearances per your team's game, which is 162, which is averages somewhere in the 440 some odd at bats. You have to qualify for the batting title. They need to make something like that for the MVP. Minimum 120 games played.
Let me ask
because that obviously catchers aren't going to play as much as a regular shortstop because they're more banged up. But a position play it should be an only position player award because Andrew McCutchen cannot go out and win the Cy Young. But yet Kershaw can come in and win the MVP. How's that fair?
If Clayton Kershaw was playing for the Minnesota Twins, would we even be talking about this?
Well, we would be talking about it, but not at the same time. It is hyped. It is somewhat hyped up because it is Los Angeles.
Yeah, they live in La La Land.
And now that moves into our third hot button topic this week. Tom Watson, the captain of the U.S. Ryder Cup team, announced his 3 selections for the Ryder Cup, which were Hunter Mahan coming off a win earlier in this FedEx Cup playoffs at the Barclays, Webb Simpson, a Ryder Cup alumni, and also Keegan Bradley, also former major winner at a PGA Championship. This goes with the 9 automatic qualifiers from the regular season: Ricky Fowler, Jim Furyk, Zach Johnson, Matt Kuchar, Phil Mickelson, Jordan Spieth, Bubba Watson, Jimmy Walker, and of course Patrick Reed, coming in off Dustin Johnson a few months ago, announcing he was taking the rest of the season off for personal reasons. And he's gotten some flack for a few Webb Simpson is definitely understandable. He's been a very good Ryder Cupper. So is Keegan Bradley. But I think the real question is, did Hunter Mahan deserve to be... He had one good week and has really done nothing else for the rest of the season. Did he really deserve to be that final pick for the Ryder Cup?
Well, he's a good, solid golfer. He had a good year last year, but this year he wasn't quite as good as he was last year. He just recently won a major tournament, which kicked him way up there
in the FedEx Cup.
In the FedEx Cup, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. But Mahan is a good golfer, but is he as good as Woodland in that situation?
Well, there's so many people that could be considered. Webb Simpson, Keegan Bradley, understandable picks, but in the Hunter Mahan selection, look at all the different people that could have been picked besides him. Gary Woodland, who's been very consistent. Kevin Na, who was really, really solid early in the season. Even if you went for a guy like Brandt Snedeker, who has shown throughout the years that he's a high-quality player, or some guys that have come up late this season, like Brendan Todd, who won in Dallas at the Byron Nelson, Chris Kirk, who won this past week at the Deutsche Bank, or Chris Stroud is another young player. Harris English, who a lot of people think is really, really talented, or Cameron Tringale, who was also there. or the guy who's leading right now at the current tournament, Billy Horschel at the BMW. So there was a lot of other deserving players I think you can make a better case for that have had better all-around seasons than Hunter Mahan. Maybe not with wins, but more consistent top 10 finishes than Mahan, who's really struggled this season.
Yeah, he's had a little bit of a tough year, but it is what it is. Let me ask you, do you remember who the vice captains are along with Tom Watson?
Raymond Floyd, Andy North, and Steve Stricker.
Those are some very good golfers. I was just wondering where Tiger Woods fit into the whole thing.
Well, Tiger, obviously, he's not qualified for the Ryder Cup, pulled out of consideration for one of the captains from Tom. And I think it would have been very interesting if Tiger did not pull out of consideration. What does Tom Watson do? He's Tiger Woods. He's the greatest golfer ever. Can you tell him no? Oh, for a Hunter Mahan?
Well,
No.
what I would have done, we know he has back problems. Maybe they should have just let him be an honorary vice captain or something like that. That would have been nice.
I don't know, but the Hunter Mahan deal also feeds into another topic, which is the FedEx Cup. As you know, a normal PGA Tour event, the FedEx Cup is a year-long deal based on a point system, and at the end of the year, the winner with the most points, which is usually the winner of the Tour Championship, wins $10 million, which is a huge amount of money, which was implemented in 2007. Has been a great idea. It's really grown the game of golf. Normal PGA Tour event, the win gets 500 FedEx Cup points, but it rockets in the playoffs up to 2,500 points, which means it's a 5 times bigger win, even in a major, which is a really sticky situation there. And that's how you get guys who have just won, like Chris Kirk, Hunter Mahan, and Billy Horschel holds on tomorrow. They'll rocket up into 1, 2, and 3 in the FedEx Cup rankings over guys that have won multiple times this year, like Bubba Watson, Rory McIlroy, and Jimmy Walker and Martin Keimer. So, does this show that the FedEx Cup has some serious problems?
I think it does. You go into baseball, for example, a game in April counts just as much as a game in September in the win and loss column. In football, it's the same thing. However, in golf, one of the last games counts more. It just doesn't seem right that someone who's won 3 or 4 times before maybe tails off for whatever reason, maybe gets burned out, maybe he hurts himself. He doesn't get as many points as someone who maybe has struggled all year and then all of a sudden gets hot. It just doesn't seem right.
It doesn't. And the way the FedEx Cup could be fixed is, obviously, 5 times more points is ridiculous. Even a second place finish gets 1,500, which means a second place is 3 times better than a win, and during the rest of the season, that makes no sense either. But it should be a little bit raised stakes. There's something to be said for finishing the season on a strong note. But instead of making it 2,500 points per win, just make it double. Make it 1,000. And a second place be 500. Very simple, subtle change. That way, the end of the season, no matter who was hottest at the end, the winner should be the person with the best all-around season. I think right now that best person this year has been Rory McIlroy, obviously.
Yeah,
he should be leader. He should be the leader in the FedEx Cup, and it should be close. I mean, Martin Keimer's had a great year winning the U.S. Open and the Players. Bubba Watson's won twice. Jimmy Walker's won 3 times. But Hunter Mahan should not be. And now Chris Kirk's leading it, who's had a nice season, a little bit better than Mahan's, but is mostly based off that one win last week at the Deutsche Bank. And if Billy Horschel wins this week at the BMW, he'll vault into first, and the winner of the Tour Championship will probably end up winning the $10 million.
That's right.
Which was based off last year when Henrik Stenson went off the last month and won 3 or 4 times in the last month and a half, and that's why he won it.
Yeah, there's some excellent golfers out there.
Yes. But now let's transition into college football. This is the second week of the season. This is blowout Saturday, especially in the SEC. A lot of the big name schools deciding to go for, little pipsqueak schools like Texas A&M, currently playing Lamar and destroying them in the third quarter. Almost every other top 25 game has gone final right now, and we'll review some of those, and we'll also show our breakout stars for the college football week this week.
Yeah.
And the top 25 games will start off with number 1 Florida State. Jameis Winston did play some, looked okay. They win it against the Citadel, 37-12. And the question is, why is the number 1 team in the nation playing the Citadel? They shouldn't be doing this to each other. It's sad.
They shoplifted that
Oh, Alabama defeated Florida Atlantic 41-0 in a rain-shortened game in the end of the fourth quarter. There's no reason to play it out. Blake Sims looks excellent in Alabama. Looks like Alabama has their new quarterback. The big game of the week was number 3 Oregon hosting number 7 Michigan State. Two totally different teams. Michigan State, a defensive team with a really just grounded, pounded offense. Oregon's the high flyers with Marcus Mariota, the real flashy team. And Michigan State was winning this at half. Looked like they were dominating. Come out their first drive of the second half, score a touchdown. And then Oregon rattles off 28 unanswered points to win 46-27. And really this game was closer, but the fourth quarter Oregon just ran away with this game.
Yeah, they certainly did. They had a good game.
Number 4 Oklahoma then battled Tulsa. Except the battle was over before it started. Oklahoma dominates Tulsa 50-7. Number 5 Auburn with maybe the best offense in football. Them or Oregon, that's up for debate. They played San Jose State. San Jose State played really tough the first quarter, but after that the talent really started to pull away for Auburn. 59-13. Auburn. Baylor, Bryce Petty, their Heisman hopeful, of course, had those broken vertebrae that he suffered in the game on a Sunday against SMU, was held out of the game. Backup quarterback comes in, and they didn't skip a beat. Baylor defeats Northwestern State 70-6.
Whoa.
Then number 12 LSU, led by true freshman stud tailback Leonard Fournier, battles Sam Houston State, one of the better teams at the FCS level. But it really showed the difference in talent. 56-0 LSU shuts out Sam.
I sure hope they paid him a lot of money to play.
Oh, they paid them a lot of money for that game. Number 15 Ole Miss then battled Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt looks horrible this year. Last week they had 7 turnovers and a loss to Temple, and today they were no better. I don't even think they had 100 yards passing in this game. Ole Miss dominates 41-3. And the second of the big games this week was number 14 USC and number 13 Stanford. USC wins it in the last few minutes, 13-10 over Stanford, but the game was really taken over by the signing of AD of USC, Pat Hayden, coming down from the press box, coming on the field to argue a play. Now remember, Pat Hayden is part of the playoff committee for the NCAA, so is there a conflict of interest, especially if Stanford comes up in the conversation for one of those picks later in the year? It definitely does not look good right now.
I think that they should actually suspend him for a week or two to let him think about his actions today.
They may have to consider taking him off the panel.
Maybe.
Because, I can't remember another time where an athletic director comes out of his box and comes down to argue on a play. It's...
He deserved more than the penalty he got, that's for sure.
Obviously, USC did still hold on to win that game. Number 16, Notre Dame had its annual matchup with Michigan. Everett Golson was fantastic. Devin Gardner was horrible for Michigan. 31-0. Notre Dame shuts them out. Looks like maybe the last time Notre Dame and Michigan are going to play for a while. They don't have another... Through 2019, they are no longer scheduled to play. Another one of those great dying rivalries such as Texas A&M and Texas.
That's exactly right.
Really sad that realignment is ruining all these great natural rivalries.
Yeah, they need to realign the realignment.
And then going out west for a few, number 17 Arizona State played New Mexico. Easy win, 58-23. Great play by Taylor Kelly at Arizona State. Melvin Gordon bounced back from injury for number 18 Wisconsin, coming off that tough loss to LSU, win 37-3 over Western Illinois. Number 20 Kansas State survives Iowa State, who is coming off a loss to North Dakota State, with a slight edge win, 32-28. Number 21 South Carolina, after getting destroyed by Texas A&M in their last game, they had some trouble with East Carolina. East Carolina really held in. But South Carolina pulls away 33-23 at the end.
Maybe they need to call them the chokers.
South Carolina has not looked as good as people thought they were. And the losses of Connor Shaw and Jadeveon Clowney have really looked rough on South Carolina.
That's exactly right.
Number 23, Clemson, coming off getting blown out by Georgia, comes out and blows out South Carolina State in another easy matchup, 73-7. The big shocker was number 19, Nebraska. battling McNeese State, and McNeese State was winning. They were tied actually at 24 with 20 seconds left, and then Amir Abdullah, the Heisman standout, hopeful tailback at Nebraska, just went crazy on a 58-yard TD reception, breaking maybe 7 tackles, bouncing around, running, changing field. Was a brilliant play. They score the touchdown. Nebraska survives 31-24.
I was proud of McNeese State. They really played well.
Number 24, Missouri. A mighty Monk looked great, threw 6 touchdowns and a 49-24 win over the Toledo Rockets. Number 22, North Carolina survived San Diego State 31-27 by picking off San Diego State in the end zone for a touchdown to win the game with 14 seconds left. Number 25, Louisville has looked really good. Don't need Teddy Bridgewater. Don't need Charlie Strong. A really good team. 66-21, they blow out Murray State. And the big upset this week was Virginia Tech over number 8 Ohio State. Went final about 20 minutes ago, 35-21, and the loss of Braxton Miller has really, really hurt Ohio State.
Yeah, it was apparent last week that Ohio State wasn't quite the team they were supposed to be.
JT Barrett has not looked solid. And our 3 standouts in college football this week, a pair of Baylor kids. The replacement for Bryce Petty at quarterback, Seth Russell, today for Baylor, 16 of 25 for 438 yards and 5 touchdowns. A really, really good game. And part of the reason why I had such a good game was because of his receiver, K.D. Cannon, who had 6 catches, 3 of them for touchdowns, and a total of 223 yards in that 70-6 win over Northwestern State. And our other third breakout star was Minnesota tailback David Cobb in a 35-24 win over Mid-Tennessee State. He had 29 carries for 220 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Minnesota has been lackluster on offense, looks like, but looks like they may have a nice tailback in David Cobb.
That's wonderful. Good for them.
And now we'll move into our NFL picks. Obviously, Thursday was the inaugural game of the NFL season, with Green Bay going to the world champion Seattle, and the Seahawks thoroughly drubbed the Packers. And I know you actually thought the Packers were going to win that game. You were the only person out of the state of Wisconsin that thought that.
I thought that for about the first 5 minutes of the ball game.
Yes. Green Bay's defense was just so overmatched, and their offensive line really looked really badly.
They showed some flashes, but...
whoever that guy that was impersonating Aaron Rodgers was not doing a very good impersonation, because that was not Aaron Rodgers playing quarterback for Green Bay. It was just really, really sad. Maybe it was Matt Flynn or something that grew like 4 inches. But now for the rest of the 14 games in the NFL, our picks for those games, and we'll start with San Francisco at Dallas. I will take Frisco in a blowout, 35-16. Tony Romo